speaking of making new terrariums, it just so happens another beast has been waiting in the shadows for you all to meet her. Yes, we have a new addition to our ever-growing AC Antiverse. And she's one of the most dangerous animals to ever reside in the ant room. AC family, I can't wait to show her to you. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Welcome to the AC family. Enjoy! The nucleus, our creational furnace from which shall be born epic populations of the needed soil biota for future terrariums. Inside this rather simple glass tank, we have various creatures and microorganisms needed for composting waste products in our terrariums. In the process, they also produce nutrients for plants. This week, AC family, I'm happy to announce that we will make our first harvest of bioactive soil culture from the nucleus to bioactively jumpstart a new magnificent creation of a world. Such hardworking creatures, my secret earthworms, millipedes, springtails, and isopods. Today I call upon thee to bless some new virgin soils with your spawn. For this week, I'll be preparing a new sanctuary for a beast we've never before had on this channel. A creature that is both dangerous and mesmerizing. In today's episode, I will walk you through the process of creating a beautiful home fit for this awesome beast of a creature, and experience the heart-pounding process of moving her into her newly prepared sanctuary. AC family, this whole operation had me shook, and I'm no arachnophobe, but I still felt the fear. The end result, however, was both ultimate satisfaction and awe. So without further ado, ladies and gents, take your seats and let's get to know our newest member of the family, who also happens to be the most venomous tarantula in the world. I've been a longtime fan of arachnids, and have actually been keeping tarantulas longer than I've been keeping ants. In fact, many of us ant hobbyists also happen to be tarantula enthusiasts. There's just something about spiders and tarantulas in particular that truly fascinate me, even if they don't really do much compared to ants. Unlike ants, tarantulas don't move around a lot, are quite low maintenance, and comparatively don't need massive enclosures. It's easy to get one tarantula and suddenly find yourself collecting them like Pokemon. One rose-haired tarantula as a teenager was all it took for me to eventually own 50 of them. But there was one species I've always dreamt of owning, and it lies here. Hidden within the corners of this arid habitat is a tarantula that is notoriously known for two things: its beauty and its venom potency. And for me, it's a dream come true to welcome her to our Antiverse. There. See her? AC family, presenting to you this gorgeous Sapphire Gooty Tarantula, scientifically known as Poecilotheria metallica. She's an old world species, hailing from central southern India. She also goes by various other names in the hobby, including metallic tarantula, peacock parachute spider, or peacock tarantula. But what makes her distinct from other tarantulas in her genus is her vivid blue color with bright yellow patches. Gooty tarantulas are also highly iridescent. I love all the different metallic colors reflected off various parts of her body when viewed from different angles. Look at how she changes color here. And here too. A truly magnificent creature. Looking closer, we get a tinge of yellow, blue, and green. Isn't she just awesome? Gosh, many guys I know marvel at cars, but me, I'd take this gorgeous tarantula over any Ferrari any day. Gooties are special because they are the only species in the genus of Poecilotheria to have this signature blue color. This girl here is a young Gooty, so she appears less chromatic and blue at the moment. But I'm certain as she grows and molts a few more times, we will see her colors come into full bloom. So what do you say? What should we name her, guys? Leave your name suggestions in the comments, and I'll choose my top 5 favorites for us to vote on in a future video. Be sure to also like your favorite suggestions so I can see them. Now let's talk about Venom. While this Gooty Tarantula might look beautiful, she is one dangerous arachnid. It's reported that a bite from tarantulas of her genus cause intense muscle pain, heart palpitations, and effects that can last weeks, even months. Look at those long sharp fangs. A deep bite from those can surely send me to the hospital. I once owned an adult Poecilotheria regalis, a close relative, whom I was certain was tame, and showed her to my classroom in high school. I took her out to handle her like I always did, but I must have grabbed her a wrong way because she bit me. But luckily it was a shallow bite, but my finger remained painfully swollen all day. Though I didn't have to go to the hospital, nor cry in front of my classmates. I knew I was lucky. Needless to say, utmost care is essential with these tarantulas, and they are not a beginner species by any means. Venom aside, she's also super fast. She can dash away like lightning, essential so she could escape predators if needed. See these cute paws? They are called paw tufts, dense pads of hair. Each individual hair in the tuft is composed of hundreds of thousands of smaller hairs, which are called setiules. They are so small, only an electron microscope can see them. This amazing biological feature allows them to climb surfaces, even surfaces as smooth as this glass. These spiders need the grip because they're arboreal, meaning they live in the trees, where they occupy tree hollows. In these tree hollows, they typically create asymmetrical funnel webs. They are a dark-loving species and usually avoid sunlight whenever they can. She's actually searching now for a new place to hide from my camera lights, which is actually great because the new home I have for her is much more suitable than this home she's lived in for a while. And like moving an ant colony into a new setup, we can use this natural photophobia to our advantage when moving her into a new setup. And yes, she definitely needs a more suitable setup. In case you were wondering about this glass enclosure, here's the thing. See, I bought this Gooty Tarantula complete with the setup. And while I appreciate the effort that went into designing it, I knew we, the AC family, could do better. One problem with this current setup is that it doesn't offer a suitable hide for her. I suppose selling a tarantula might be hard if you can't see it, so the designer and seller decided not to offer it a hide. Now, I could have just removed this big driftwood piece and replaced it with a hide. However, the driftwood is completely siliconed to the glass. And I didn't think redecorating this enclosure with the tarantula in it was something I was comfortable doing, for my safety and for the tarantulas. Creating a new home fit for this gorgeous beast was the best option. But before we do that, let's take a glimpse at a similar creature whose beauty has graced this channel before. Welcome everyone to the Arachno Sanctorium, the lair of the goddess of the Antiverse, Azula. As you can see, Azula has fully embraced her home and has been quite busy. Look at how her profuse webbing has completely transformed her once green oasis enclosure into the silky white sanctuary. But peeking into the funnel section of her web, I was surprised to discover that Azula had actually just molted sometime today. How cool! See her in there? Standing next to her shed skin? She's now hardening and needs to rest. She won't be eating for a while, until she's fully hardened. For those of you who are new, Azula here is a green bottle blue tarantula, scientifically known as Chromatopelma cyanopubescens. Almost a year after her debut, Azula is doing great. In her previous episode, she was struggling to get rid of her top carapace shed. But fortunately, that eventually fell off, and she's as gorgeous as ever. Especially now that she's freshly molted. Rest well, my goddess. So as you can see with Azula here, privacy and a place to retreat is super important to tarantulas. Our new Sapphire Gooty Tarantula needed a private space to call her own, which she too could customize using her silk. And so AC family, it was time to do what we do best. I, your creator of worlds, had the perfect home prepared for our new Sapphire Gooty Tarantula. AC family, behold, I'm pleased to present to you Cerulean Hollow, our soon-to-be home of our Gooty Tarantula. Let me show you around. Live vein plants and heartleaf philodendron adorn the foreground and back wall of the territories. But check out the best part. At the very back and center of her home is this majestic cork bark, which would become her hide. Now if you think it looks cool from the front, wait until you see what it looks like from the back. But before I show you that, let me show you how this entire gorgeous terrarium came to life. Here's what I did. In this glass tank, I first attached this hollowed cork bark using aquarium-safe black silicone caulking. Next, I wanted to create a sort of wooden organic wall of sorts, from which plants could grow. So, I smothered the entire back with silicone. I also took some wire and attached it to the silicone wall. You'll see in a bit how these wires would help hold decorative sphagnum moss in place. Then I attached these plastic vials, which would later be used as pots for plants, to the silicone wall and covered it in more silicone. I used a brush to shape and smoothen out the wall. Next, I took some cocoa fiber and completely covered this silicone wall, pushing it in and even throwing some into the hollow to cover up all exposed areas of silicone. You'll see how awesome this will look once it's all done and dried. I let the entire thing cure and solidify overnight. 24 hours later, the silicone caulking was set. Now check this out, guys. I love this part. I used my vacuum cleaner to remove the excess cocoa fiber from all areas, exposing the organic wall beneath. I find this process so satisfying. There. Isn't that cool? Now, let's proceed with the final construction. I poured in a good amount of activated carbon, which would help remove any toxic metals or chemicals from the soils, which could harm our tarantula or soil life. And, speaking of which, after adding some soil, it was time for some epic bioactivation of this terrarium. Bring in the nucleus. This rather modest-looking tank contains teams of creatures and microorganisms capable of turning wastes into amazing nutrients for plants. If you saw last week's episode, you already know the awesome creatures living in here. From earthworms to millipedes, every member of this soil ecosystem has worked hard to process the wastes I left in this tank. And check out how effective our nucleus has been so far. On the left side are new leaf clippings I put in a day ago, while on the right, you can visibly see how the wastes I placed last week are virtually all gone. Though the nucleus isn't nearly as developed as it will be over the next few months, it's still great to know it's on its way to becoming a great source for soil creatures and fertilizer. What you see here in the upper layers of soil are byproducts of creatures we have in the tank. They are totally nutrient-rich. Surely they, along with a handful of pioneering soil creatures, will help make Cerulean Hollow become a biologically active habitat for my Gooty Tarantula. I scooped up some of the medium and dumped it into the terrarium. There. Bioactivation process initiated. Now, it is time to add these cute little plants. Remember the plastic vials we attached? Here's what they're meant for. I just added a bit of soil from the nucleus, placed our plant inside, packed it in with more nuclear soil, and voila! We were good to go. I did the same thing on the other side. Over time, these plants will hopefully grow and root along this organic wall to give Cerulean Hollow that forest look. I planted clumps of gorgeous vein plants. I really like the color of these plants and love using them for terrariums as ground cover because they grow low to the ground. The attractive pattern of the leaves offers a good contrast against the cocoa fiber of the back wall and the rough texture of the hollowed cork tree bark. To complete the look, I attached sphagnum moss onto the wall, using the exposed wire we embedded prior. Aside from aesthetics, this moss will help with holding moisture. Speaking of which, let's moisten the lands. Drink, 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 my precious plants. Welcome to your new home. And that, AC family, was how Cerulean Hollow was created. From afar, this terrarium looked lush and alive. And now to show you what I feel is the coolest part of this enclosure. The back view. AC family, check it out. Full visual access to the interior of our Goody's Hollow, so we could see her anytime we wanted. And simply cover it all up to keep it dark when we weren't observing her. Kinda like an ant farm. I added some sphagnum moss to the bottom to make it more cozy. Cerulean Hollow was now complete, and was in my mind the perfect home functionally and aesthetically for our new Sapphire Gooty Tarantula. And now, AC family, the hard part. Moving our new beast in. Arachnophobes, beware. What's about to happen next might give you a heart attack. Once again, here's my Gooty Tarantula, in her original enclosure. So here was my plan. The goal here was to transfer her using light. Hopefully, if we expose her to lights, she'll start moving like she did at the start of this video, in search of a place to hide. All I needed to do was put the two enclosures together, and pray she wanders into Cerulean Hollow. I opened up Cerulean Hollow. The old enclosure had a section that kind of jutted out from the front, so I had to make some height adjustments using these bottle caps, so the two enclosures could fit snugly together. And now, the moment of truth. I removed the glass wall from the tarantula's enclosure, and the move was now ready. I took a spotlight and shined it onto the Gooty. Uh-oh. The spider refused to budge. No! The light technique wasn't working. Oh boy. I was afraid I'd have to resort to Plan B, which was much more dangerous and unpredictable. Here is a wing feather from my parrot's recent molt. It's soft enough to act as a gentle pokey to get her to move along. But the scariest part was, I needed to go in. There were so many things that could go wrong with this plan. She could make a dash for it and completely crawl out of the tank. She could jump onto my hand, sink some fangs into my flesh, race up my body onto my face, disappear off the table and into my kitchen. I was fully aware that this thing was a venomous, acrobatic ninja of a tarantula. My heart was pounding as I went in with the feather. My hand was inches away from her, but I had to watch her like a hawk. As soon as the Gooty Tarantula sensed the presence of the feather, she turned around to face it. And suddenly, BAM! She took a strike. Oh my god! She was so aggressive. I was so scared. I moved in with my feather a second time. Don't worry, I come in peace. Whoa! She took another strike. But it seemed the feather was too short and not very effective at getting her to move. I needed to try something else. I resorted to using these long tweezers. I had to be extra careful though, as I didn't want to injure her in any way. Suddenly, she switched composure and started to slowly walk away from my tweezers. In an almost magical trance, she headed straight for the opening of her enclosure, and I guided her gently into Cerulean Hollow. I slid the glass door in, and the mission was complete. and like a sight from arachnid heaven. Our new Sapphire Gooty Tarantula stopped right in the middle of the bark, posing majestically in all her Gooty glory. AC family, look at her! She's the most magnificent thing I've ever seen. It was at that moment that I also realized the natural masterpiece that was her coloration. Look at how awesomely she camouflages with the bark. If I were a bird flying by, I would have totally missed this Gooty. And the cool part was, not only could she camouflage, but she also had the benefit of bright blue and yellow warning markings, which she could flash at any time to advertise to a creature that did discover her how dangerous she was. Mother Nature had truly made these spiders living works of art. And in perfect time, our Gooty Tarantula climbed to the top of the bark and happily crawled into the darkness of her brand new tree hollow, just as she would have in the wild. AC family, it seems we officially got the final approval that Cerulean Hollow was to be her new cherished home. Four days later, our Gooty had settled nicely into her territories. During the day, she would retreat into her hollow, which was darkened using some black Bristol board. In the night, I would sometimes see her emerging, but tonight she seemed like she wanted to hang out inside her hide. Let's peek inside, shall we? Wow! Guys, look! She had already begun to line the interior of the hollow with webbing to make it more cozy. I love that she loves her lair. She looks totally comfy in there. Now I tried placing in a cricket, which eventually crawled into her hollow. And I waited and waited, and the cricket even went up to touch her leg. But she ended up just batting it away. Looks like food wasn't on her mind at the moment. Which was okay, because I heard she had eaten the day I bought her. Plus, it could mean that she's due for another molt soon, which is highly likely because she went from a fairly dry setup to a now humid one. And as soon as she does molt, I'll surely film her new vivid colors, which I can't wait for. I truly loved having this new tarantula join our growing antiverse. It was amazing that such a dangerous creature also had a calm and collected side. It didn't make a dash for my face, or go out of its way to sink its fangs into my hand. I was actually surprised the move went as smoothly as it did. I was grateful to our Gooty Tarantula for being so cooperative. She was beautiful, and definitely an animal that demanded respect. What's sad is these Sapphire Gooty Tarantulas are actually critically endangered in the wild. These spiders come from a small area in India, which is suffering from habitat destruction due to logging and firewood harvesting. Fortunately, however, after 10 years of captive breeding, thousands of them exist within the tarantula pet trade. If any of you decide to get one of these gorgeous tarantulas, it's important to get them from a reputable breeder or supplier to minimize supporting any illegal collection of these spiders from the wild. Our Gooty specimen here was captive born and raised, and so far has all the qualities of being a very fulfilling pet tarantula. To watch, but not touch. I'm totally okay with this though, because what mattered to me most now was that the most venomous tarantula in the world was now the happiest tarantula in the world. Now, speaking of painful bites, we move along now to another kingdom of our ant room. A kingdom that I've been dying to update you guys on. Behold the great Hacienda del Dorado, which has grown to become an entirely different world from when we last saw it. I can't wait to show you the progress of the jawbreakers who've been living quietly within its soils, along with the plethora of creatures that live with them. AC family, did you enjoy today's episode? Our new Gooty Tarantula is a beauty, right? I have some epic updates on the inhabitants of the Hacienda del Dorado and the Jawbreakers, our trapjaw ant colony. So hit that subscribe button and bell icon for notifications now, so you don't miss out on the epic stories of the inhabitants of the Antiverse. And don't forget to also hit the like button every single time, including now. It would really help a lot. Also, I wanted to let everyone know that AntsCanada.com is having its big AC annual holidays promo, the 2020 sale. That's 20% off all hybrid series ant farms and gear packs from now until January 2020, plus a free copy of our newly updated Ultimate Ant Keeping Handbook. Right now at AntsCanada.com. Click the link in the description to get your AC ant farm today. If you're new to the channel and want to catch up on all your AntsCanada lore, feel free to binge watch this complete storyline playlist here, which traces the origins of all the ant colonies of the ant room, so you can follow their stories and better appreciate how these ant kingdoms came to be and why we love them so much. AC in our colony, I have left a hidden cookie for you here if you'd like to see extended play footage of our new Gooty Tarantula. She's truly gorgeous, so go check it out. And now it's time for the AC question of the week. Last week we asked, what is mutualistic symbiosis? Congratulations to Tanic Gaming, who correctly answered, it's a relationship between different species where all parties benefit. Congratulations, Tanic Gaming, you just won a free ebook handbook from our shop. In this week's AC question of the week, we ask, what helps a Gooty Tarantula stick to the glass? Leave your answer in the comment section, and you could also win a free ebook handbook from our shop. Hope you can subscribe to the channel as we upload every Saturday at 8 AM Eastern Standard Time. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video to help us keep making more. It's Ant Love forever.